Most people think intelligence is only about how well a person can solve equations, memorize facts, or perform in school. But in real life, that is only one small part of the picture. Some people with high grades struggle deeply in relationships. Some people with average academic performance build remarkable lives because they know how to stay calm under pressure, read people carefully, control their reactions, and make thoughtful decisions when emotions are high. And some people who seem brilliant on paper keep losing opportunities because they cannot manage frustration, fear, anger, or stress. That is why today's topic matters so much. Because success is not shaped by intelligence alone. It is also shaped by emotional intelligence. Today's book is Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. This is a book that changed the way many people understand human potential. It made one powerful idea impossible to ignore. Being smart is important, but being emotionally aware is just as important. In many cases, it may even matter more. Because in the real world, life is not only a test of knowledge. It is a test of self-control, empathy, resilience, and the ability to make wise decisions when the pressure is high. Hey everyone, welcome back to Inspired Pages. On this channel, we explore books that help us understand life, human behavior, discipline, mindset, emotional strength, and the deeper forces shaping our everyday experiences. In our previous videos, we explored how habits control daily actions, how grit carries us through difficulty, how resistance blocks meaningful work, how disciplined mornings can change the direction of a day, how self-awareness helps us face the mountains within, and how order can protect us from chaos. Today, we move into another powerful idea. Because intelligence matters, but emotional intelligence may shape the quality of your life even more directly. Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence begins with a challenge to one of the oldest assumptions in society. For a long time, people believed that IQ was the main predictor of success. The assumption was simple. The smarter you are, the further you will go. But Goleman shows that life is much more complicated than that. A person can have strong technical skill and still struggle in leadership, communication, relationships, and self-management. Another person may not be the most academically gifted, but because they understand emotions well, they can work with people, handle conflict, adapt under pressure, and move through life with greater balance. This book does not argue that intelligence is useless. It argues that intelligence is incomplete without emotional skill. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your own emotions, understand what they are telling you, manage them wisely, recognize the emotions of others, and respond in ways that support better relationships and better decisions. That may sound simple, but it touches nearly every part of life. One of the strongest ideas in the book is that emotions are not separate from reason. They influence it constantly. Many people like to think of themselves as fully logical, but the truth is that emotions shape attention, memory, judgment, and behavior. When a person is angry, they do not think the same way they do when calm. When a person is afraid, they do not evaluate risk the same way. When a person is ashamed, disappointed, or overwhelmed, their choices often become narrower. This is why emotional awareness is so important. If you do not understand your emotions, they may quietly make decisions for you. Goleman explains that the brain is wired in ways that connect emotion and action very closely. This means a strong emotional reaction can sometimes arrive before thoughtful reflection does. That is why people say things they regret. That is why they slam doors, send harsh messages, withdraw from others, or make impulsive choices. In those moments, emotion is not the enemy. But uncontrolled emotion becomes a problem. Emotional intelligence gives you a way to pause, observe, and choose instead of simply reacting. That is one of the most practical lessons in the book. Emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. You have to know what you are feeling before you can manage it. Many people live so quickly that they do not stop to notice what is happening inside them. They feel irritated, anxious, discouraged, embarrassed, or overwhelmed, but they do not name it. Instead, the emotion comes out sideways. It becomes procrastination, sarcasm, silence, blame, or stress. When you do not understand your own emotional state, you are more likely to be controlled by it. Self-awareness is powerful because it creates distance. It allows you to say, "I am angry," instead of becoming the anger. It allows you to say, "I am nervous," instead of letting nervousness drive your behavior. That small shift is life-changing. Once you can observe your emotion, you are no longer completely trapped inside it. Another major theme in the book is self-regulation. This is the ability to manage emotions without suppressing them. Emotional intelligence is not about pretending you do not feel anything. It is not about becoming cold, detached, or robotic. It is about responding wisely. Sometimes that means taking a pause. Sometimes it means breathing before speaking. Sometimes it means stepping away until your mind clears. Sometimes it means choosing not to act on the first impulse that shows up. This matters because many life problems are not created by the feeling itself. They are created by the reaction to the feeling. Anger is not always the real issue. The real issue is what anger makes you do. Anxiety is not always the real issue. The real issue is how anxiety distorts your choices. Emotional intelligence helps you interrupt that chain. It gives you the space to respond with maturity instead of reflex. Goleman also places strong emphasis on empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand what another person may be feeling, even when they do not say it directly. This is one of the most important skills in relationships, leadership, teamwork, parenting, and communication. People want to be understood. They want to feel seen. They want others to notice what is happening beneath the surface. A person with empathy does not just hear words. They pay attention to tone, body language, timing, silence, and context. They listen not only to reply, but to understand. This matters because many conflicts are made worse by emotional blindness. People assume the other person is being rude, selfish, uncaring, or unreasonable when in fact they may be tired, afraid, hurt, or overwhelmed. Empathy does not mean excusing everything. It means understanding more clearly before judging too quickly. That alone can transform relationships. Another powerful idea in the book is that emotional intelligence supports achievement. Many people think achievement is only about talent or effort, but the ability to persist through frustration, manage disappointment, delay gratification, and recover from setbacks is deeply emotional. A student who can stay calm under pressure often performs better than a student who panics. A worker who can handle criticism well often grows faster than one who takes everything personally. A leader who can keep a team steady during uncertainty often succeeds more than one who is technically smart but emotionally chaotic. In that sense, emotional intelligence is not soft. It is strategic. It improves decision-making, communication, conflict resolution, leadership, and resilience. It helps a person keep moving even when emotions are intense. It helps them stay connected instead of shutting down. It helps them become dependable in situations where many others fall apart. Goleman also talks about motivation as part of emotional intelligence. Motivation is not just excitement. It is the ability to stay committed to a goal even when feelings fluctuate. That means emotionally intelligent people do not wait for perfect moods to act. They understand that emotions rise and fall, but values and purpose can stay steady. They can feel discouraged and still continue. They can feel tired and still remain committed. They can feel fear and still take the next step. This is a powerful connection. Emotional intelligence is not about removing feelings from the equation. It is about learning how to move with them without being ruled by them. That means frustration can become information. Anxiety can become a signal to slow down and think. Sadness can become a call for care. Even anger can become a warning that something needs attention. When emotions are understood, they become useful. When they are ignored, they become disruptive. The book also reminds us that emotional intelligence begins early. The patterns we learn in childhood can shape how we handle emotions as adults. This is why family environment, modeling, and early relationships matter so much. Children learn not only from what they are told, but from what they observe. If they see adults handling conflict with patience, they learn patience. If they see adults handling stress with chaos, they often learn chaos. This does not mean the past defines everything forever. But it does mean emotional habits are learned, and what is learned can be changed. That is encouraging. Because if emotional skills can be learned, then they are not reserved for a special few. Anyone can become better at listening. Anyone can become better at managing reactions. Anyone can become better at reading a room, noticing their triggers, speaking carefully, and choosing healthier responses. Emotional intelligence is a practice. It grows through reflection, effort, and repetition. And that practice changes identity. A person who learns to pause before reacting becomes more trustworthy. A person who learns to empathize becomes more connected. A person who learns to regulate stress becomes more stable. A person who learns to recognize patterns becomes wiser. Over time, these small changes shape the kind of life a person builds. One of the deeper lessons in emotional intelligence is that success without emotional skill often has hidden costs. A person may achieve external results while feeling disconnected, reactive, burned out, or unable to sustain healthy relationships. That is not true strength. True strength includes the ability to remain grounded inside success, not just chase success from a place of emotional confusion. The goal is not simply to win. The goal is to become the kind of person who can handle winning, losing, pressure, conflict, and responsibility with maturity. That is why emotional intelligence matters so much in leadership. People do not only follow competence. They also follow trust. They respond to stability. They notice whether a leader can remain calm, fair, and responsive under pressure. They pay attention to whether a person listens, adapts, and respects the emotional climate around them. Leadership is not only technical. It is deeply human. The same is true in personal relationships. The strongest relationships are not built only on attraction, convenience, or shared goals. They are built on emotional understanding. They require patience. They require communication. They require the ability to notice when the other person needs support, space, reassurance, or honesty. Emotional intelligence makes love, friendship, and family life healthier because it reduces unnecessary misunderstanding and strengthens connection. As we step back and reflect on emotional intelligence, one truth becomes clear. Intelligence is not just about how much you know. It is about how well you understand yourself and others. It is about how you handle pressure. It is about whether you can pause before reacting. It is about whether you can stay grounded, empathize, adapt, and choose wisely when emotions are strong. This book teaches us that emotional skills are not optional extras. They are part of a well-lived life. They influence relationships, leadership, health, decision-making, learning, and long-term success. And the good news is that they can be developed. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to become more aware, more honest, more attentive, more willing to grow. So ask yourself honestly, what emotion do you tend to ignore? What reaction do you repeat without thinking? When pressure rises, do you become quiet, impulsive, defensive, or distracted? What would change if you learned to notice your feelings before they controlled you? What would change if you began listening more carefully to the emotions of others? Those questions may seem simple, but they can change the way you move through life. If this message made you pause and reflect, if it helped you see that emotional strength is part of real intelligence, then the change has already begun. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You only need to begin paying closer attention to what is happening inside you and around you. On Inspired Pages, we explore books that help us think clearly, live wisely, and grow into stronger versions of ourselves. If this message gave you value, subscribe to Inspired Pages. Share this video with someone who wants to improve their relationships, someone who struggles with emotions, or someone ready to become more self-aware and emotionally strong. Because your future is not only built by what you know. It is built by how well you understand yourself, how wisely you respond, and how deeply you connect with others. This is Inspired Pages. Stay aware, stay grounded, and keep building the life you truly want, one emotion at a time.